Power bowl, white beans, and baked potato and salad. I'm going to talk about The Crown, the 5th season, and I've put these other two in here just to show how far down that one is, Burn. It's, I'm not going to talk much ever about the ones in the middle because I already reviewed them. But I am going to read a poem, and this was actually inspired by watching TV. So it's just a fictional thing. It's just like me watching TV. Anyway, this one's called Hidden Anarchy. A woman showed her anarchy, a small tattoo behind her ear, which really showed conformity, was hidden there behind her hair. This symbol of her rebel youth just showed her taste in love and truth. Her teenage crush then, it was clear, had been a rebel, pleased to share his teenage rage and angst that she had copied, just to draw him near. Her act of camaraderie was placed so he would see it there, when he was close enough to see the mirror that she chose to be. This symbol marked this aging dear. She showed she still was unaware of what she showed me casually, this symbol of her teenage fear and unoriginality. It seemed like she was pleased to bear it, like she thought it interests me. But I don't think destructively. I tried to smile and not to sneer when seeing something some teens wear for individuality. Most learn the truth and quickly veer from that to creativity. Most teens decide they truly care once they outgrow their foolish youth. But some refuse to hear the truth and show that they will never hear it, since with it, they'd have to bear the weight of their reality. They're morons of society. I don't think much of anarchists. So anyway, The Crown, the 5th season. Wow, is this ever awesome. I have never watched this series before. I've noticed it on the shelf, on the return shelf at the library, and I'm not into the whole monarchy thing, so a lot of people are. A lot of Canadians are really into it. But yeah, but I'm not. But honestly, I looked at this and I'm like, she does look a lot like Diana. And anyway,
is he supposed to be Charles?
It is, and they did a bad job with him. I mean,
Yeah,
Charles
he
is
looks
really
handsome.
ugly. They're trying to make him look handsome. And that's the thing. In this show, they're at one point, and it might have happened, but I can't see why. So at one point, this is set around, like, things are not good with Diana and Charles. He's very obviously with Camilla, and she would like to have a real marriage, but she realizes that what she has is not a real marriage. And I guess she was young when she got married, and really the royal family should have been honest with her and said, look, we just need an incubator for an heir to the throne. That's all. And if you're interested, okay. If not, whatever, you know. But because I'm sure a lot of people would have been happy to be an incubator for the heir to the throne. They just things were not handled well. So anyway, what was I going to say about it? Oh, there's one point where everybody's hiding this newspaper. There's a poll was done, and who cares? It's a poll, whatever. But they were hiding it from the Queen because they were saying that she was, like, words to describe her, expensive, outdated, like out of touch with the public, and all these things, right? And the public was reacting favorably towards Charles. They thought, and it's like, I don't remember anybody ever reacting favorably towards Charles. Everybody thought he was a loser.
That sounds like a cooked poll.
Yeah,
to me.
it seems like a cooked poll to me too. Like, it's like, okay, did Charles pay for this poll? Because honestly, I wouldn't have been hiding that from the Queen. I'd be like, okay, so Charles is bucking to be king, and in this he is, you know, he's like,
What a loser.
yeah, but honestly, and like James was saying about the Camilla thing, he should have made his choice. He should have said, no, I'm going to stay with Camilla, and you know, I realize this isn't going to play well with the public, so then I choose her, and I choose not to be king.
Yeah.
Whatever. He could have made that choice, and he should have made that choice.
Yeah.
And because honestly, I think the Queen was hanging on so long because she knew that he couldn't be king. And everybody knows that. Nobody likes him still. No matter how many of these shows that you put out and try to convince the public, oh, everyone likes Charles. No, nobody ever did. Nobody ever liked him.
Charles is a chimp.
Yeah, I don't think Elizabeth even liked him. I think she felt embarrassed, and she felt like, oh, I'm going to have to keep being queen even though I'm getting to be really ancient, and it'd be nice to retire, but I have nobody to pass on the throne to, right? Or the crown, or whatever. I don't know what they call it. So I think she was hoping for Charles' eldest son to grow up, and somehow for Charles to just die, and then the son would be the heir, and he would just go on as king. Because honestly, I think everybody's liked him. They just don't like Charles. And I think that it's good that, I used to think, oh, we shouldn't have a monarchy. We shouldn't have to, you know. But, and what are we doing here in Canada? We have the Queen on our money and whatever. It's ridiculous. But, and why are we paying for this, you know? But we have a pretty good society. So, I don't know, who wants to rock the boat? So, but honestly, with Charles in charge, I don't know if the British monarchy can survive his leadership, because nobody likes him. Nobody ever has. No matter how many shows you put out like this to try to convince the public that, oh yeah, we liked him. No, we never did. We never liked him. So, anyway, that's my only criticism of the show. Otherwise, this is awesome. You notice I put it top of the stack, and I like these too. I wanted to bring these out because I hadn't returned them yet. I liked watching both of these. So I wanted to show just how much I thought of this one, really, because they did a great job casting, and the story, I mean, like I said, I don't care about the monarchy. I liked watching this. This was great to follow. So, whatever. Do I think that Diana was so hard done by and whatever? No. No, I really don't. Princess Di, come on. Not so hard done by, but obviously she felt like she was. And she was young when she got married and whatever, and there were some good points that they made in this, like in this story, she's talking to a reporter through somebody else, right? Because the reporter is putting out this story from her point of view, but she can't be seen as having talked to this guy at all. And so she's made tape recordings and passed them along to somebody she trusts and somebody that reporter trusts, and so it's anyway. And there's like, she does mention how if she were to leave, then she would have to leave her children, because the royalty, they would want to protect their heirs, so they would get custody of her children, and she couldn't bear it. So that's a good point. And she was young when she got into the marriage, and she might have actually believed that it was a fairy tale wedding, and she was going to be married to the king, and it was going to be a romance and wonderful and all this stuff. And then like I was saying to James, well, surely she would have realized once she, like before she had the children, why did she? And James was like, oh, women often have children to try to keep the guy, or think, oh, this will make him, you know, make us more of a family or whatever, right? And it just didn't work out that way. So I can see that. But at the same time, I think, okay, well, so what? If you don't have, if something doesn't work out in your life, there are other things that you can focus on. And she had a lot of time that she could focus on other things that are wonderful. So, which a lot of people don't have that opportunity. So, do I think that she was hard done by? No. There are a lot of people that are, but not her. I mean, she was still a princess. She still had all of her needs met so that she could live a wonderful life if she chose to do that. So, whatever. Now, one thing I was going to say about this that I forgot to is this Bass Reeves is portrayed as a hero, and we're thinking, oh yeah, hero. Well, he is a bit of a vigilante though, isn't he? Like, we look at the other guy who has managed to, like, he's in the same sort of deputy sort of position, I think, as Bass, but he's managed to see the loophole in the system and go, oh, these guys are, people still get paid for the boots, but only half as much if they're dead, right? If the criminals or murderers are brought in dead, or not brought in, just their boots. So he says, well, these people are worth a lot more as labor than as dead men, as to hang, right? So we see this guy as a horrible guy because he's keeping people as slaves instead of sending them off to be tried and probably convicted of murder, because most of them did it, so probably. And at least the ones that Bass has talked to, they're like, yeah, I did it, whatever, you know. So you get that impression. But at the same time, that guy's bad. He takes the law into his own hands. He's decided to do, or really, I mean, he's found a loophole in the system of the law, right? So he hasn't really, well, he is manipulating things. So anyway, he's a bad guy. But Bass, also in this show, he took the law into his own hands too. He's a hero, but he loses his temper, and at one point, like, his cook, his camp cook or whatever, had freed one of their prisoners, and he kills the guy.
The cook?
The cook. He kills the cook. So, like, he lost his temper with the guy.
Don't feed this guy a spit burger.
No.
You're taking your life in your hands.
So, anyway, I wanted to point that out, you know, and when he decides, at the end, of this season, when he decides to hand over the cash and say, yeah, go off to Kansas, you guys, he's really made himself judge. And so he's not a good guy. He's not a good guy, really. Not a hero. He's the hero of this story. And we like him, but should we? I mean, he's just set loose a whole bunch of murderers on some innocent people. It's not good.
So folks, welcome to the world of anarchy. Because that's what happens when you have anarchy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have vigilante justice. So
anyway, Burn. The acting was decent in this. I actually liked the job that I think all of the actors did in this. But the story just wasn't that strong. I don't know how believable the one character, like it says at the back, the psycho, the bully, the thief. And
her eyebrows look kind of bit psycho.
Yeah.
I think they kind of...
They picked somebody that looked kind of creepy or whatever, but, and not a good person, and the bully is not a good person, and the thief is not a good person. These people end up. This is a story about a night that they interact in a gas station where the two of them work and the one of them has come to rob the place. And
well, the French title seems better. It's kind of a night in hell, or a night of hell.
Oh,
night
yeah.
Of hell, probably.
Yeah, well, it was. And in the end, you don't know really what's going to happen. You think, okay, well, the tapes have probably been destroyed. I can't imagine they'd survive that, but yeah, I mean, you don't know what she's going to end up saying. You don't know how it's going to end up for that one character. I mean, you certainly know what happened with the bully and the thief, but anyway. Yeah, I mean, part of it is that you can't relate with the characters. Maybe the police officer a bit, or at least I hope you can't relate to these characters. These are not good people. I mean, the psycho, she seems like she'll be nice or whatever, but she has some serious problems. And anyway, I'm going to put you over to James. He looks like he's going to talk about Oor Wullie a bit.
Yeah.
So there you go.
A wee bit.
Okay, enjoy. So go ahead, sit down and.
There we go.
And looks like Beano.
A little bit of Beano.
Yep.
A whole bunch of other things.
I have about 13.
I'm moving like an old guy because we're on a pretty good walk today. Mentioning yesterday, I have 3.5 pages left in this book. It's actually 4.5, but I finished it up. That was the 11th of June, yesterday. Finished it up. And I'm almost through. I kind of, sometimes these books that have the original sort of stuff, I'll layer them. So this is, it has the original Sanskrit. It might only be like the equivalent of 25 pages of complete Sanskrit text, and no more, definitely no more than 50 pages of complete Sanskrit text. It's just got, it's not samples, but it's got the text in running order, but they'll just take 2 lines or sometimes 4 lines. There's 4 lines there and analyze it. They'll translate it and analyze it. So I just wanted to report I finished it up, and I'll be sampling. Well, like I say, I'm almost through through it a second time. As I recall, I've gone through the text a second time, and I basically only got about 50 pages of index. Yeah, 2 indices, a little over 50 pages, I think, to get through a second time. And yes, I do go through indices in books, at least that are worth it. I'll use it as indices as a means of review. So I'll just look up something and say, okay, what does that mean, or whatever? What do I recall of that in the book? And so Sukdeva Goswami, whatever, you know, what's the name of this guy's teacher or mentor or whatever? Acharya is maybe the term that he uses. Spiritual master is what he uses for Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaja. So this is the picture of his. So here I'll show you the picture of the guy who did the translation and commentary. Picture of him. He died in 1977. I was thinking he died around 1978 or 77, I believe. Born a little after my granddad was born. I think it was 1896. But here's a picture of his spiritual master. I think he died roughly 30 years before this fellow. The guy translated this, Bhaktivedanta, or whatever his name is, Prabhupada. And then this looks as though this is the spiritual master of this guy, and maybe this is the spiritual master of this guy. So there's kind of like a backwards succession as you work through. The first pictures to be found in this book, I think there might be as many as maybe 36 pictures in here. Pretty impressive. Maybe even a little bit more. Maybe up to 40. It comes, as I was saying, highly recommended. The religion is not highly recommended at all. It's I recommend that people avoid this religion if possible. This person was George Harrison's guru. I don't think George Harrison ever gave up on it. Initially as the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, George Harrison gave up on him almost as quickly as the rest of the Beatles did. Good old Ringo Starr. Hey Ringo, congratulations on giving up on the Maharishi. He was the first to leave Rishikesh, where the Beatles went in, I think it was early 1968, and hang with the Maharishi. Ringo pulled the plug. I think he was saying he was missing English food. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty serious, because I've had English food. Not very good. I'm like in an English place. I was born in Africa, and we used to go back and forth between Africa and Canada by ocean liner. We'd take the Canard line between Montreal and Southampton. The Canard line, we were on smaller ships than the Queen Mary and the Queen Elizabeth, I think they were called. Those were the big ships for the Canard line, probably going between New York and someplace in England. But we were taking something smaller, or we took things smaller. So the first time I went across the ocean, Atlantic Ocean, I was kind of in embryo, shall we say, an embryonic state. My mother was pregnant with me, and apparently I caused her a lot of difficulty because they were on a freighter, smaller ship. We went right across the middle of the Atlantic from Canada. They didn't stop over in England. We went to Cape Town, and I caused her a lot of nausea. Must have been the first trimester or something like that on top of it. Anyway, when we came back, so I was born in Africa. When we came back, we took something called the Union Castle Line. Awesome, weird colored ships. I think they had red and black and maybe some white, and mainly kind of a nice lilac color. Lavender. Very handsome ships. And we went from Cape Town to Southampton, and I was 5. It just turned 5, and then we took the Canard line between Southampton and Montreal. Then when we went back, we took Canard, and then the Canard line from Montreal to Southampton, and then from Southampton to Cape Town again, we took the Union Castle line. And then when we went back, we took the Union Castle line. So this was in 1964. And air travel was just getting to the point where it was getting competitive with ocean liners. And so we took the Union Castle line from Southampton from Cape Town to Southampton. But air travel was cheaper between England and Montreal. Yeah. So we took the plane over. It was quite exciting. I wasn't freaked out by the movies. Later on, I became more respectful of air travel. I always seem to be able to handle it. Some people can't. But it's quite an experience. So all that traveling done before I turned 11. I basically just turned 10 when I came back. A lot of travel. Saw a lot of the world. Saw a lot of world in Africa, right? Northern Rhodesia, where I was born, British colony. English, I should really say. And the British people are actually colonized by the English people about 500 AD. British colony, and it was an American mission in African country where on the mission the Boers, actually Boer farmers, were socially done. Strange mixture. And then we were kind of the outsiders all the way around because we were Canadian. We weren't American. We weren't like the Americans that were dominant of that mission. They were, well, I didn't care for them that much, to be perfectly frank. They were worse, of course. So one place, one mission we stayed at, I can't remember, thank heavens, it was a nightmare. It was an orphanage. And the family that was socially dominant there, again, they were Americans in the southern and southeastern United States. And they were, some of them were pretty mentally unbalanced. That's the only way to put it. Anyway, lived on 2 different missions. I can't remember that one. I was about 2 years old. I remember it's going to go back that way. Anyway, I'm going to be quoting from this because I'm almost through it a second time. Visit it on you again. Any of you folks who are out there think that, oh, all religions are about peace, love, and flowers, you're going to get a dose of it. You're going to get a dose out of the Old Testament, because I'm going to be finishing this up. I won't be able to finish it up this month as I intended, but because I've got lots of other reading to handle. Tough reading, mainly the toughest is going to be reading Michelangelo in the original Italian. He wrote poetry, and apparently reasonably good poetry. So I'll be reading his collected poetic works, reading it, studying about it. And what I've been doing now is this. Why am I wasting? I'm rearranging my books in my basement because I've got June is the time when June is the month where we get the most rainfall here on average in Lethbridge. And sometimes we get these cyclonic storms that last a couple of days, sometimes a day and a half, sometimes almost 3 days. And it's when we get the ones that last about 3 days where my basement can get, not really flooded, but the floor can get a little bit of water on it. I had some books stored on the floor. This was, books stacked up in banker's books and stuff like that. So what I've done is I've just elevated them all. I don't really work that fast. I got 5 fractured vertebrae. So I've been rearranging them. What have I got, 2 minutes?
You're about done.
Okay. Anyway, I'll be reviewing these later on Oor Wullie.